Peace, y'all. It's your man Dave with my brother Quest, the man bringing you all things marriage, paying you huge dividends on your investment in time with us. We're talking about love, sex, having children, money, spirituality, life, communication, and anything else to help you thrive and win in your relationships. And guess what? This is grown folks' business. So get ready to make grown-up decisions. You know why? Because marriage ain't for suckers. That's the name of the program. Marriage ain't for suckers. All right, let's get into it. Hey, yo, Quest, it's time to give the people something, man. What we talking about today?
Yes, indeed. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Quest. Welcome to another edition of the Marriage Ain't for Suckers podcast. And as always, I'm joined by my man, my man. Ladies and gentlemen, L. David Harris.
My entrance be dramatic.
Yeah, I love it.
What up, Quest?
Oh man. Live and direct. From Dirty Germs. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you sound like somebody about to axe murder somebody. Like a song. Like what's all that going on in the background?
You already know what it is. I'm not in the peaceful lowlands of Charlotte, North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? I am in New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? AKA Dirty Jersey.
Okay.
And the sounds of the environment are a little bit different up north than they are down south. Let me just say that, as you can hear.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, tell them to shut that off because you're in the middle of a live broadcast. Tell them to shut that off.
No doubt. So I wanted to just, you know what I'm saying? There's no way for me to, hit a button and well, I can, but then you won't hear me. So when you hear me, they like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They hijacking my sound.
Yeah, let's not start no problems with that guy.
Please.
I'll tell him.
Everybody is
take your computer over there. I'll tell him.
Huh?
Take your computer over there. I'll tell him. Be like, yo, we in the middle of something. Nah.
Oh man! Shouts out to everybody who is listening to the podcast. As always, do me a favor, run and tell or share with a friend. You know what I'm saying? What me and Dr. Harris is doing, because he's definitely a surgeon at what he does. You know what I'm saying? That what we're doing in terms of this marriage thing, if we have benefited you in any way, shape, or form, and you're like, yo, I want to support them. Even if you don't support us monetarily, share the podcast with a friend, share it on your socials. You know what I'm saying? Share it with as many people as you can, because our goal is to help as many marriages as we possibly can. And me and the mad scientists are now adding an arm to the whole thing and the squad, you know what I'm saying? The Greenhouse Squad. Shout out to Shonda and AB, and Faith and, you know what I'm saying, Moni in the middle. But we are adding a piece. You'll soon see it coming up for those of you who are unmarried. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to give you too much info. You'll see it when you see it. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be phenomenal. And it's being powered by, you know what I'm saying, the one and only hip hop preacher, you know what I'm saying, Dr. Eric Thomas, aka ET, right? And so what we have planned for everybody, like for real in this season, marriages, I realized that some of us ran into some issues, D, and because we didn't make the right decisions or nobody gave us the information to make good decisions, we ran into some issues and it landed us in divorce. And we're like, I don't want to do that again.
No, we're
so
not
only
about that
are we
life.
going to work for those singles, but we're going to work for those who've just never been married, period. We're going to show you some things that'll allow you to make some good decisions, not only in what you do in terms of marriage, but the most important part, who you choose to do it with.
Oh, yes.
So be on the lookout for that as well. Yeah, man, like I said, we here in Jersey this week, spending some time with family because that's important. And as always, D, how goes it on the island?
Yo, life is life. Yo.
I know it.
Yo, you heard our homegirl. I won't say her name, but in my room this morning, in the UOU mastermind community, she said, "Life be lifing."
Oh yes.
She come from she come from St. Catherine. She was here till she was 30. She was here till she was 23. So I just laughed. I said, "There we go."
It's so funny, and her voice is so soft in the morning.
Yeah. Yo, say the wrong thing to her.
Yeah.
But life is life, man.
Life
Yeah.
is life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Life is
funny when she
life.
said it.
And
Yeah, I heard you when she said it. She said life be lifing.
you always
But I
something
said
like that. Yeah.
I heard life is life.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what it is, man. And I'm excited about all of the growth that the greenhouse is experiencing and will experience. And we running together, man. That's the cool part about it. And I got some things on my end of the situation that's growing too. And listen, there's nothing I prefer doing more than private things with Simone
Yeah.
and coaching. I was in my zone yesterday when we had that 1 hour, what's called office hour with LDH. I was in my zone, man. It was such an invigorating situation, man, because business owners of every different type were just firing whatever was on their mind in terms of questions, man, and we were just running through it, man. And I can't even explain to you how enthralling, like how positive that is. That's what I live for, bro. So yeah, let's ride together, man. Let's keep going.
So I love it, man, because and most people, I wish that they would just, like, for real, before we even jump off in a topic, just grasp that what you said alone. We're doing what we're doing, and we're doing it together. We're doing life with one
Simultaneously.
another. Yep, simultaneously. We're doing life with one another and not around one another. It's funny. Shouts out to Pastor TJ Tyus, you know what I'm saying, associate pastor up at APOC. And what he, as of late, has been drilling into is nature, and specifically in nature, the African wild dog, and how when they hunt in a pack, and they send one way out in the beginning so that when you get tired, you're going to run into some of the pack. Then they split off in a surround, like everything that they do is methodical, but they do it together and they do it as a pack. When a lion hunts you, he hunts you by himself. And so the chances are less that they will get their prey. But when you hunt as a pack, he said the numbers increase astronomically. And they almost have a 90-something% chance that if they hunt you, it's a done deal. And so
Yeah.
I'm realizing the principle in what they do as a pack and what we do as a pack. The percentage increases that not only will we reach our goal, but we'll be able to help everybody else do some stuff for themselves in their own space. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Woe be unto a man that when he falls, don't have somebody to pick him up. You feel me?
Real talk. Could we have forecast this when we fully connected in 2016, 17?
No.
Like we knew what we were trying to do, thinking about doing, but I could not have, especially after I took a 3-year break from connecting with you. After we were in full swing, 183 episodes in, I had to take a break. And it's just like, I was like, man, this is going to mess up. This is going to put a monkey wrench into everything. But then COVID hit. So it's almost like COVID was a blessing because it wasn't just vacant space. Like the whole world was trying to figure stuff out at the same time that I had to take a break. And I promise I didn't want to, but I understand why I did now. I understand so much more of why God took me through that pathway. And I was like, man, I hope this is not a point of no return while I was going through. But bro, providence, man. Only God could have orchestrated the thing. And we still here, man. Thank God.
And not only still here, but where we about to blast off to.
It ain't even fair. Y'all better ask.
Yeah, man. So stay tuned, because what we do, we don't only do for us, we do for you, because we want to see relationships thrive. We know that everything that you want in terms of relationship is foundational to everything else you want to do in life.
That's it.
The most important decision that you will ever make outside of God being your Lord, Christ being your Lord and Savior, the one decision outside of that is the greatest decision that you'll ever make, is who you decide to do life with.
That's it.
There are too many decisions to be made. Every day you get up out of your bed, from the time that your feet hit the floor, there are decisions to be made, from the smallest to the greatest. And who you do life with determines, man, where you going, what side of glory you going to be on. Imagine that. Imagine that. So yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and tackle this
No doubt.
subject for a little while
Oh,
here.
what we on
Be-
today?
Listen, ready for marriage? That's the question. Not so fast. Not so fast.
Easy.
So I'm going to give y'all a scenario, right? And literally, there are multiple different ways to look at this discussion. But I want to look at something like hyper simple, right? So you're in a relationship, ladies, with a man whom you love and he loves you. You understand your behavior styles, you understand your upbringing and all of the things, well, to a degree that make you who you are, even where relationships are concerned. I'm talking about you have surveyed with a qualified person, even how your homes were run. And you're at a point where you're trying to decide what next. You know that you love each other. You know that you're interested in marriage. You are deciding, like, how is this going to go? But here's a little thing. In this simple discussion, the man is having financial challenges. He is not gainfully employed, and the business side of life is slow. Let me just say, anybody can fall on hard times. Most of you listening have, Quest and I have. But the question is, if you are planning to be married, you're not married yet, is this a factor that the man is in a rough patch financially and we don't have any clear runway in this hypothetical scenario of when, I'll just call it when, this dry patch is going to get wet and he's going to be gainfully employed? Should he run forward and get married now? Like, propose, do the one knee, propose, run forward with premarital counseling, and then in a year's time, you're planning now for the wedding because you're planning for the marriage. In a year's time, you're together. Yes or no? Or is there, maybe that's just too simple an option. Maybe there's a third option. Yes or no? That's what we on.
So I'll say this, D, from my perspective, right? There are some things in life that you can make some exceptions for as you build, right? Marriage is not one of those things that you can make exceptions for. These are life decisions that we're talking about. There's a saying, and you and I discussed it earlier on, that proper planning and practice prevents piss poor performance.
You need to say that slow, because that's like a tongue twister.
Yeah. So proper planning, that's the first part. Proper planning and practice prevents piss poor performance.
Okay. I got it.
So sometimes you know a lot about what you want and what you don't want, right? Sometimes you know a lot about what you want and what you don't want. But let's be honest. When you know a lot more about what you don't want, right? It takes away the difficulty of finding out what you do want.
Okay.
And you wouldn't jump in a car and say, okay, let's take this hour drive and we'll put gas in the car later on. No. That car is not going nowhere.
Now that's interesting.
You feel me? It's not going nowhere unless you put gas in the car. So that's the first part to the whole thing. You got to put gas in the car. And then you get in the car, you start the engine, and then you take it. If you notice what the saying says, proper planning and practice.
Yeah.
So that means we have to plan, and we do that from a single. You don't just jump into marriage and then say, okay, we'll start. Do you know the kind of you want to minimize?
Yes, sir.
Because when you get into the relationship, the first thing is about, let's go back to the beginning. Be fruitful.
Fruitful.
Multiply. subdue the earth, have dominion. I hear build something. You're not going to know how to build anything if nobody has taught you how to build, or if you haven't practiced on how to build first. If you notice what happened with Adam, right? What happened with Adam is that God gave him a job long before he was able to do what he did. And then it happened, right? And
So
then
God gave him a job before he gave him Eve.
no doubt, no doubt.
But are we saying that it's about money?
No, we're definitely not saying that it's about money, right? Because money gives you options, right? If you really okay, let's say it is about money. Let's give some examples of if we move under that. Bill Gates got money,
Okay.
right? Bill Gates got money. Who else has got money? Dr. Dre, money. Elon Musk, money. Tom Brady, money. What happened to their marriages?
Right. So clearly money's not the driving force.
No, but it is necessary because it gives us options and it allows us to make decisions so that we can properly support what we've built.
Yeah. So why don't we let's make it like hyper simple then. So if I'm getting married, I've done this before. Like I got married, right? I got married, Quest. It's been 20 some years now. And one of the things that I had to decide was where are we going to live? Where are we going to live? Well, we were going to live in a condominium in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. Guess what? The condo was not free. And look, we had the hookup. I was buying the condo from my mentor and big brother friend, Daryl. He and Nivea had lived in that home for some time, and then others were renting it before, like that I knew. So this was keeping it in the family. And he was like, all right, it's your time. I want you to buy this from me. So I bought it. Now, I think, what was I making? 40K a year? Something like that. 48K a year, something like that. But I had to buy it, right? I had to buy it. Shout to Tyrell. The reality was not, am I rich? But I do need to have a mortgage, or if it were to be a rental. And by the way, we had BG&E, Baltimore Gas and Electric, had to pay for the light and the natural gas that would hit the stove and the heat. And then there's this thing called a telephone. Then there's this thing called transportation. And you could say, well, Simone was not married. Simone was gainfully employed. I'm like, yep, that's true. But do I go into this marriage and say, if I was not assistant registrar at a university at that time, and I was trying to get my mind right and get life figured out, and my business wasn't generating income, we're going to get married anyway because Simone is at the hospital working her profession. So she's working. We get married anyway. I'm going to propose to Simone and we're going to get married. How you feel about that?
And we haven't put any plans or preparation in place?
I don't know. You tell me if we put plans or preparation. I mean, what I'm saying is, like, I want to pop the question. And I am not employed with my deep voice. I'm not employed. I'm not sure when I'm going to get employed. And my business is really not supporting for real. Do I go pop the question?
So I would say don't. But that's just me.
Okay, why
right?
not?
Because if I pop the question and we're planning a wedding, right? Where do we get the funds from? Is she paying for this wedding? And then if she is that the best decision?
But Quest, back in the day, the pops of the bride would pay for most of the stuff, and then there were a couple little things that the dude would have to come up with, like flowers and some other stuff.
Absolutely, but I don't know if we're living in that same day and time.
And that's how I go.
Nope, and that's how it go.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We're not living in that place and space and time anymore, and a lot of
Okay.
couples are paying for their own weddings. Right? A lot of the times, the parents don't have that kind of money to pay for their children's wedding anyway. So who's gonna pay for it? The
So
person.
so you got
And I'm not
200
saying that
people
there's anything
coming.
wrong with parents, huh?
So you got 200 people coming, or else it's chips and dips.
And come on,
That's not good luck. Your first
that's not what
marriage,
you
by
do.
the way. The scenario that I'm painting, we're gonna call it the first marriage. It's not a marriage after someone, God forbid, would have lost a spouse to death. It's not after someone would have been divorced and recovered from the divorce and now they're ready to be married again. This is a scenario where you have two well-meaning adult individuals who are ready to jump the broom in their mind and emotions. But there's just this thing that says gainful employment is not on the guy's side. And the woman is making, whether even if she were a millionaire, but let's just say she is a middle class earner somewhere, let's call it Maryland. That's where I got married. Right? So she's a middle class wage earner. She's not working for the US government, so she's not getting that GS 15 bag. Call her a maybe she's making 35, 40K. That's our scenario. Does he?
And we got bills to pay, and we got all of these different things to take care of, and she got to now plan for when he's not working.
Yes. In this scenario that we're making, yeah. Does he, knowing that, pop the question?
So
y'all
here's
weigh
the
in
question.
here, Anthony, Tyrell, like y'all weigh in here, man.
So here's the funny thing. Here's the question. What would make him think that it's okay to go ahead and pop the question?
He
And
loves
more
her.
important- Yeah, he loves her. But can love pay bills? Can love sustain the house from all the practical things that we need to do? Now, love is good for the relationship, but the relationship must be maintained and sustained. And the relationship of love cannot be sustained only by love.
Sound
And
like you making it about money again, Quest.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. I used to always think I'm not really making it about money. I don't think so. Because once again, I don't want the relationship to only be about money. But what happens if we don't have any? What do we do?
So we're talking about starting out without money. Well,
Right.
without enough.
Right.
Yeah.
But-
So I think that's my
I don't know.
challenge with it here, Quest. People like we've said, like shout to Tyrell, like he ran into an interesting patch in his life. I don't know if it was during marriage or not, but our brother was balling. I'm talking about the brother had what do you call it? When you have a bunch of airplanes, like the dude had an airline, bro. The brother had an airline.
But you see,
And then he didn't. And
there's
then
the
he
diff-
didn't.
having it and then not having it versus not having it all and starting out.
Okay. Yeah, that's a difference.
That's different. You know
That
what I'm
is a
saying?
difference.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Because we started with a firm foundation, and life, as homegirl said this morning, life be lifing.
Life be lifing.
It does. And so it throws you a curveball, right? I love the Capital One commercials where they say, you know what I'm saying? What's it, when life happens, what's in your wallet? Right? Because life happens. You need to have all of these different measures. So it wasn't that he didn't start off with nothing. He started out with something, life hit, and then some things happened where he lost some stuff. But when you're starting out that way with nothing,
Yeah.
even when you build from, like, you need materials to build with. You can't just say, all right, we're going to build, we're going to buy this. When people are doing renovations, right, they
Yeah.
buy it and then they tack on a particular Reno loan on the back of the regular loan so
Yes,
that
sir.
they have capital in order to purchase materials so that they can do the renovation and increase the value. But you don't purchase the house without having a fund of some sort to say, this is what we're going to use to buy these materials to get this done so that we can increase the value. You can't do it without it. It ain't going to drop out the sky. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And some of us will say, well, you know, we can pray and we can do all of these things. Yes, that's true. You can pray for things, but you also got to move in the direction of the things that you prayed for. You got something that you have to do as well. And if you don't do it, you can't expect God to come and drop it in your lap.
Okay.
Because you ain't got no skin in the game.
Okay. And let me just say, in my scenario, I'm not painting the picture of an individual who is, as we would say in Jamaica, I hate it, but that's what we say, is worthless. We're not talking about a lazy person. We're not talking about someone who has no interest in, because I actually know some grown men right now in their 50s who are that way. Like, I'm talking about fully shine all the time. I'm talking about looking like $1 million, ain't contributed nothing. And it's not because of a disability. It's not because of inability. It is because of a mindset. And the wife in the scenario that I'm talking about here is drained from work while, you know, so that is not what I'm talking about in our first hypothetical. I'm talking about someone who is open. I'm talking about someone who has love, and the two people are in love and willing to work and really want to be married, but there's just this one thing. It's just this one thing. So I guess we answered that question. You know, I'm not trying to recalibrate the answer, but there has to be honest conversation. If this is you, like if you're listening or watching, like this is you, or you have a child who is in the situation. Like if I go to Simone's daddy and do it traditionally and say, may I have your daughter's hand in marriage? Daddy's supposed to know something about me by now. And if daddy sees, not that I just lost my work, but that I've been having challenges with being employed, whatever those challenges are, then Simone's daddy is supposed to be like, but you're supposed to be replacing me, Dave, not as a father, but as the one who's responsible primarily for provision. Not that I will always make more than Simone. Not that Simone's millions don't factor in, but brass tacks, y'all can call it what you want to call it. Ultimate responsibility is David's. And now Simone has ultimate responsibility for other aspects of how the household is run. And y'all, please do not hear nothing about roles in terms of the little dumb stuff that people argue about. I'm not talking about that. There are aspects to the emotional balance of the household. Like the woman is the barometer of that zone. Josiah was born. Listen, he was home with me because we made the decision. And I am a super caregiver. I didn't blink for 2 years. Like he was home with Dave in our home, like for 2 years straight. And I loved every minute of it. And I am super nurturing, super affectionate, but I'm not his mother. I'm not Josiah's mother. Because her primary responsibility where the child is concerned is to be the one he should expect nurturing from. Yes, I nurture big time, but the expectation is mommy. Like mommy has that flex. You see? So maybe I said too much, but all I'm saying is primary responsibility, even if she's a millionaire and you're a thousandaire, you're still primarily responsible. I don't care how you twist it. Even if she's like, yo, don't even worry about it. Okay, fine. Love that. But I am still ultimately responsible, even if she says, because I can't stop being who I am created to be.
So I'll say this again, D, right? I'm gonna say it one more time. It really boils down to, at the end of the day, what do you want in terms of a result? What do you want in terms of your marriage? And sometimes a no right now, right, does not mean a no. It means you might have to delay some stuff in order to properly. I never really understood, right, why, what happens when, I'm sorry for the trucks
It's
passing.
okay. We know you're outside. For those who are
Yeah.
just joining us, Quest is outside.
I I never, I shouldn't say really understood. I used to watch them do it. And I'm right. I never understood until I asked the builder one time. I would see them set the concrete for the homes that they were about to build. They done cleared the land. They done did all the soil and all of this other stuff, right? And they would lay the concrete. And I would watch them every day work, laying, outlining, and then lay the concrete. When they lay the concrete, right, and it's in its place now, they wouldn't come back for another 3-4 weeks. I was thinking to myself, like, why would they wait so long, D, to come back after laying the concrete? 3 weeks, 4 weeks passing by, and they would sit there waiting. And I asked the builder, I see it almost with apartment complexes when they build in subdivisions. He said the concrete has to properly dry through and through, and it has to set and settle into the ground before they begin the building. Imagine what would happen. And I asked them, what would happen if you built the house without waiting for that concrete to dry properly? He said, have you ever seen sinking floors? Have you ever seen foundations that don't sit right? And there's cracks in the wall and bowing in the floors and all that. He said, that's what happens when people don't properly build the foundation. You cannot build properly on it. I'm going to return to what we started this conversation with, right? We said it. Proper planning and practice prevents piss poor performance. If you want your marriage to be successful, it must. Okay. The first time that I did marriage, I was married in 2003 and divorced in 2005 because I didn't do no planning, or the planning that I did was planning on how I was going to smash on that 38, 24, 40.
Ooh.
That's how I ended in divorce, because I did not properly plan, much less to practice. So what happened? Piss poor performance. And the red flags that were popping up, they were popping up, and I would either see them or wouldn't even pay attention to them because I was too busy indulging myself in the thing that couldn't support me when okay. And then I remember when I was going back to God, like, God, you need to fix this. God was like, first of all, I didn't ordain for you to even be with this child.
Oh my.
And then in addition to that, you failed to realize, or you failed to grasp the fact that life is going to life. And you didn't choose the proper planning in order to deal with the fact that life was going to life. You chose 38, 24, 40. That's what you chose. So now that life is hitting, ask me and ask yourself, what can that do for you?
How'd that work out for you? Yeah.
7 years later, after the divorce, me and Faith were having all kinds of conversations, from what we like in terms of sex to what's the most important values to us. What are the things that matter in this life? Do we want to have children? How many do we want to have? How are we going to raise them? What are we going to teach them? Is divorce an option? Like, for real, all the conversations that mean something. What are your endeavors? What are my endeavors? How do we plan to achieve them? How do we plan to support the family? Come on, bro. Once again, I'll go back to it again, right? We said when we first started out, proper planning and practice prevents piss poor performance. That's it.
Ibra. That's all, folks. Like, it's a scenario that sometimes people are like, you just making up complicated stuff for nothing. No, it's not nothing. It's something. It's very much something. There are people all over America, but I'll pick Middle America in particular, where, my goodness, man, and it's not just there, but I'm saying what I've seen. And they think that love is it. The people that I've seen, like I went to a chips and dip wedding, bro. I'm not saying that y'all need to do all of that extra stuff because I'm really not about that life. But what I'm saying is the people who did the chips and dips wedding reception, they did it because they had no other option, not because they just decided that it's a waste of money to burn. Listen, if that's the case, then you just have to be honest with yourself, measure the risk versus rewards, and make the right decision. But you have to be honest. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Because real talk, like homegirl, like in this scenario, what if homegirl loses her job on day 3? And you went in knowing that you didn't have no way to do it. Now the both of you are out.
How long you drive a car on a donut, D?
Bro, I drive it straight to getting the tire fixed. That's how long I drive it. I don't mess around with donuts. It's not intended to drive. They got all kind of warnings on the thing. So again, we can't forecast every challenge. We cannot give a solution to everything ahead of the time, but we can see what's right in front of us. If you have no food and no promise from God for a miracle in this instance, do not invite nobody to your house for dinner, because there ain't no dinner over there. That's all I got on that. That's all I got on that, Quest. And it's no diss. I ain't mad at nobody. I'm just saying, like, for people who have the privilege of forethought and foresight.
Yes.
Then just use now to push pause, make a good quality decision, and be very excited and happy that you did, because when it's time to go, then you don't have no reservations. You're not looking in your rear view like, man, what did I do? Yeah. So
you know what I say to it?
What's that?
From shaky to good, from good to great. Ultimately, what we want is phenomenal relationships and phenomenal marriages. But phenomenal relationships and marriages don't just happen. It takes work.
There you have it, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. Marriage is about mutual love and mutual respect, and it works for those willing to make it work. Real talk, our spouses are treasured jewels given to us to make life better. And the sooner we learn to value one another will be the sooner we become the absolute best versions of ourselves we can be. Until next time, peace.